The complex I live in has been going through some major landscaping, so if you hear any yard work, that's probably why. I do it at night, but usually by the end of the day I'm so tired that it's not happening. So this video is about spring, kind of 2019 anime season, what I'm going to be watching, and then what I did watch for winter, and the final episodes of some of the series. So The Promise to Neverland was a big one. A lot of people really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I haven't read the manga, although I was terrible, and I went and read some spoilers because I had to know. I was pretty good up in, for like the first half of this series that's released in anime form, and I was like, okay. About halfway through, I was like, I need to know because this is just gonna bother me unless I look it up. And normally I'm not like that with the series, so when people are talking about the things that did and didn't work with Promise to Neverland, and debating about, is it a horror anime, is it thriller, is it what, is it mystery, blah, 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 all these different debates about the genre and then how it was executed. All I know is that for me personally, it gave me enough anxiety, like it actually made me care about the characters enough that I was like, I need to know, because I actually do have anxiety, so I'm like, I need to know that something, anyway, I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but just know that the ending for the anime of Promised Neverland, again, I have not read the manga, it was good. I felt like they ended it, and again, I don't have the context of the manga, and normally I do because I like reading it, but just me only watching the anime, I felt like they left it off on a good note. It isn't like with some anime adaptations, which I'll get to in just a second, that kind of decide to go off on a tangent in their adaptation, or it's like it'll follow the manga and then at the end it loses its mind. And I can think of a few of them like that that they used to do in like the early 2000s, and I'm still hurt from those. I'm still hurt. Some of them were done better than others. Blue Exorcist was it's not new by any stretch of the imagination, but like the first season of that was one that was kind of like, what? And then Black Butler, the first season, was one of them that was also like that, where you're like, wait, what? Because the manga had nothing to do with that. And that's what I mean by they go off on a tangent. It's not like ones like Chrono Crusade, which I have a huge... I want to see that actually be adapted. Not adapted. I want to see it in anime form properly, because the manga for Chrono Crusade I loved so much more than the anime, and I felt like the anime just... It's not that it was bad. I mean, it was still feels, lots of feels, right? But the manga was better. I feel like it was a lot better. I don't want to spoil it. Just know that partway through the manga and then towards the end, they took a lot of themes that normally are not put together. And honestly, you could also argue blending genres, that it shouldn't have worked, but I felt like it worked. And that's all I'm going to say about Chrono Crusade. So sorry I went off on a tangent rant about like anime adaptations and when they do and don't go right, and then when the ending deviates from the manga, and when it doesn't and it actually ends like in a satisfying way. I feel like, again, I'm aware of what should have happened in the manga, but I haven't actually read the manga for Promised Neverland. So anyway, that I felt like was a really good place to leave off that anime. I was deeply satisfied, which doesn't always happen with anime endings. And speaking of anime season endings, that in this case it's probably never going to get another season, which just breaks my heart. It always makes me upset when, like, I don't know, just anyway, the Morose Mononokean, finally I think I said it right, maybe, had a second season, and I never thought it would get a second season, so I was super excited when it did. Yes, the animation quality wasn't super great. I didn't freaking care, because I like that story, I like the characters, I like the setting, I like the whole idea of it. If you haven't checked it out, just know that it's an anime that involves yokai, okay, to give you an idea. I'm not gonna say don't watch it. I still think you should watch both seasons if you're into that kind of genre, like anything that has to do with yokai, because it's interesting, especially the direction that they take it, which is not, you know, a lot of yokai anime are like usually have a lot of action and battles and things like that. At least I feel like they do. And in this one, it's kind of more like a slice of life yokai anime, and I really enjoy that. And the weird part is it's slice of life yokai type anime, but there's no moe girl characters like there normally would be. So, not that I have anything against that at all. Lord knows I don't. But yeah, the Morose Mononokean II ended on a note that did deviate from the manga, and I was kind of like, what? What's happening? What are you doing? So that was sad. But it was still fun to watch. There were maybe like 1 or 2 episodes where I'm like, why? But the rest of it was all great, and I enjoyed it. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, the Morose Mononokean II, there's 2 seasons, but they're short. They're only, I think, 12 episode seasons. So I mean, and yeah, I don't. Again, there's other things with that where like I want to talk about it, but there's spoilers, so I can't. I enjoyed that up until the last episode. The next one I want to cover is Mob Psycho 100, which, you know, the season 2, which I don't really... I mean, is there anything really to say about that other than the fact that it was freaking awesome, because I fucking loved it. And I'm not alone. There are tons of people who really, really enjoyed that. I liked it. I can just hear it. Like, I haven't seen it yet because I haven't looked, but I can just see that there's probably somebody somewhere who didn't like the last episode, because I mean, that's life. There's going to be somebody who doesn't like something. But I thought it was a good route to take. And again, I don't want to spoil the last episode of the 2nd season, but as far as like the ending of a battle and how you wrap up a battle, and not just like, well, anyway, yeah, I felt like it wrapped it up in a different way than anime often does, and I kind of appreciated that. I thought that was really neat, and I thought that it stuck with a lot of the themes of the show overall that had been going throughout the whole thing, which has to do with emotional development, becoming your own person, but then understanding that a lot of times the way you have an identity is through balancing what you feel is right through your relationships with others. It isn't that your relationships with others should 110% define your identity, right? Because there's still something inside here that should be an independent compass, right? But that it does contribute. And I think that's like a good reciprocal lesson to have in any story, let alone an anime. So, or an anime with, you know, lots of psychic powers, or espers in this case, as they're called. A lot of times it seems like now, especially in anime. Yeah, that's a Railgun and Index and eventually Accelerator reference. I actually did watch some of the latest season of Railgun, but it got kind of weird and choppy, and I'm gonna try and pick it back up, but I was kind of like, when I was watching it. So I forgot what episode even that I left off on, because it was pretty early in that continuation. So I'm going to have to go back and try and finish it, because I do love Railgun and Index, and now eventually Accelerator having their own like interconnected worlds and stories, and I like it. So I will have to get back on it, but my brain just couldn't do it at the time. So that I plan on trying to go back and watching, because I love it. But I didn't finish it. That time I got reincarnated as a slime, I was a latecomer to, and I was okay with that. I can see why people love it. It's really, I mean, it is and it isn't what you think it is, and I love that about it. It's definitely, I didn't think I'd ever enjoy an isekai that much, and I did. I had a lot of fun watching that. That was great. Especially like the last 2 episodes, which is really more like an episode and a half, but then the one right before that, because I was bad and again looked at some of the stuff that were spoilers and was like, oh, they're actually going to show this character, and oh my god, I got all excited. So it was good too. So if you've been hesitating to watch, like, that time I got reincarnated as a slime, and you're just like, oh, it's just a bunch of hype, blah 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 blah, or you're like how I was, or being like, I don't know, because it's longer, right? So I had to really feel like I wanted to invest the time into it, which I think is reasonable. It was fun. It was really fun. And also, when I was younger, I used to play games like Age of Empires or Civilization. Like, I'm talking like the original Age of Empires, like with the Egyptians, the Phoenicians, and the Greeks and all that, and then Age of Empires 2, Age of Kings. So all the kind of like empire building games or sims I always really loved. So that was an element of that time I got reincarnated as a slime that I don't feel like is a spoiler, but that I enjoyed that about it. I thought that was great. It was really fun to watch. Again, because it also has good humor, and it has moments where I was like, oh, I didn't anticipate the feels. Which also brings me to the other anime that I finished watching, which is My Roommate is a Cat. I don't think I've had an anime make me either almost cry or cry that much ever. And I know it's because I had two cats, and one, they both passed away because they were elderly. One was Tiger. Okay, so he was that kind of orange, yellow colors, stripes and stuff, except he had a clouded body. It was really pretty, like clouded leopard kind of body. And he had like lime green eyes. And then Pris, or Socks, Miss Pris, she was the gray and white, right? She had little socks kind of. And she also had but her eyes were like not vibrant. They were like this pale lime green. So I had two kitties, so watching My Roommate as a Cat just reminded me of how much I miss having a cat, or cats. I'm actually allergic to them, but only certain ones. So I'm pretty sure it might be that chemical in their saliva that some people are allergic to, not the dander. Because the ones I haven't been as allergic to are breeds that don't produce as much of that chemical agent in their saliva. So it's not that I can't have a cat, it's just that I live on Claritin and must wash my hands constantly kind of thing when I have one. And also I have asthma, so anytime I have any type of allergen, I'm like, ugh. After probably a week of exposure, depending on how allergic I am, it could be faster than that. So yay! Anyway, My Roommate as a Cat was just so sweet. It was so good. It was a journey. It was a wonderful journey to take, and living with it was basically you looking in on and feeling almost like you're living with the writer, who's such a hermit and an introvert, and his run-in with the cat, and then his eventual adoption of the cat, and him having to, I would say, relearn, but it was really almost like he never fully learned how, his social skills. Like, he does have some, but because he's not used to this social interaction constantly, or just like at all, it's a lot more difficult for him. So watching him go through that, and then grow as a person through his connection with the cat, Haru, is just, it was great. So if you don't mind potentially crying a little bit, it's a good one. And that's My Roommate as a Cat. So those are the ones I enjoyed. The one that I really regret being, I think I'm like 3 episodes behind on it, because it was the one that I care about the most, and it's almost like I've been working on thesis because I'm a graduate student, and I'm like, you care about this anime the most, you're not going to get to finish watching it until you're freaking almost done with your thesis for the semester, or you're done with it. Because I'm like that with myself sometimes. So that's of course the Boogiepop, right? Because I loved Boogiepop when I first saw it on I think it was before it was G4. It was just Tech TV, and they played, I think, Boogiepop, and shoot, I almost want to say they played Serial Experiments Lain, and that was my first exposure to it. I think they did. I cannot remember, but I do know that Boogiepop was definitely on Tech TV. This is like 2002 or something like that. So they used to have an anime block on what is now dead. It doesn't exist anymore. G4 doesn't exist anymore that I'm aware of. I don't think it does. That Tech TV was cool. So I remembered Boogiepop from there, and when I saw that it was finally getting another, like it was gonna get the rest of the stories, basically, not another adaptation, but the rest of the stories, like the prequel, into anime form, I was like, oh my god, because I never thought it would happen. So I have super enjoyed that. There is gore, but not like a lot. I mean, there's one arc where there's probably more gore than others, but it's definitely a mind trip. Some people from the comments I read find it difficult to follow. I don't as much. It might just be because I've read it, so I'm just like, oh yeah, okay. Or I've read enough also in addition to it to refresh my memory about what happens after, because it's been so long since I've seen Boogiepop Phantom, which was made a long time ago, that I wanted to be like, okay, wait a minute, am I remembering this part right? And then reaching back and looking at Boogiepop and Others, I'm like, oh, okay. So again, no spoiler territory, but I just, I gotta say, if you miss the realism, or more realism, kind of like art style anime with the awkward silences, and I don't say jump scares because, I don't know, depending on the person, I guess it could be scary, but it's really more like eeriness. Like if you miss eeriness in your anime, and mystery and intrigue and bizarre going-ons, Boogiepop and Others is a great choice to watch, especially if you're like if you've heard about it all season and you're kind of like, I don't know. If you're interested in that, just give it a chance. Again, keep in mind that a lot of these are like little stories, but you'll see a lot of the same characters over and over again, okay? So as long as you view it from that perspective, you should be fine. And as far as spring 2019 goes, I will of course be watching Fruits Basket. Oh my god. I spazzed so super hard when I found out that was a thing. I was like, oh my god! I was so happy because it's one of those mangas where you're just like, it's my light going away. Silly Vegas and your light that changes constantly. But Fruits Basket is just like one of those shoujo manga where you're just like, why isn't there an actual version of this fully in anime form? I feel that way about Oran too, but anyway. But Fruits Basket, oh, I'm so excited. I'm very excited, and it will be on Crunchyroll. They just released that news, so it won't just be through Funimation. And I thought that was cool of Funimation. They could have been like, buy our stuff and hoarded it, but they didn't, which tells me that they care about the fans, and that makes me happy. So thank you, Funimation. That was super cool of you. You totally didn't have to do that, and I just want to throw that out there for those of us, I'm so excited I can't talk. Those of us in the States, in the United States, that was really cool of you. So thanks. Thank you. Anywho, so I'll be watching that, and if you haven't heard of Fruits Basket, and you're an anime fan, first of all, I'd be like, wow, you must not be into shoujo, which is okay. But I also am kind of like, really? It is older though, so in all fairness, like I have to be aware, like I'm an older fan, and so that means that I remember things that other people don't sometimes, and that's okay. So hopefully those of you who haven't heard of it before because you're a newer anime fan, because you're a youngling, or that, shoujo's just not your thing, but you're like thinking about maybe giving it a chance because you know that it's supposed to be like, it's basically reached classic level for some people, even though it doesn't really mean a lot nowadays in the anime community. I mean, it can and it can't, it just depends on the person and whatever. But anyway, just know that a lot of people think of it as like, I would prefer to say more like a hallmark. It's like, this is something where people look at it and go, this is like what this genre is partially defined by. Not totally, but partially defined by. I'd say it's more like that. I think I'm more comfortable saying that. So Fruits Basket is great. It's like one of those, hallmark or a landmark moment in the genre. There you go. That's what I want to say. Hallmark or a landmark moment in a genre. A Fruits Basket is definitely one of those for shoujo. So if you thought about it and you've never seen the original anime, or you've never read the manga, or any of those mixtures thereof, maybe consider doing it. Consider watching it. I think it will be worth your while. The other stuff I want to watch are, of course, I'm going to be watching the second season of One Punch Man, and then Bungo Stray Dogs third season. Okay, yeah, because I love Bungo Stray Dogs. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, I'm sorry. Really sorry. And then there's like several other ones. Like I know I really want to watch, gosh, I'm hoping I'm saying this right. I just know it starts as Demon Slayer, and it's Kimetsu no Yaiba? Anywho, so I want to watch that one because like anything that involves demons or yokai or supernatural weird stuff, I'm always like, hey, I'm here. Which doesn't mean that there aren't stories that are complete trash in that, because of course there are, because that's every genre ever. They have trash stories, but this one looks really interesting, so I want to watch that one. I think it just had a movie that came out in Japan, and I think this is like some kind of TV. I don't know if it's a TV version. I haven't done the reading enough on that to say anything about that, but just know that I'm gonna be watching that. And then the other things that I want to watch, if I can, I don't know if I will be able to. I don't know if it's pronounced RobiHachi, or I think it is RobiHachi, but I want to watch that. I want to watch Carole on Tuesday, because it looks interesting, and I normally don't watch music animes, like musician or song or based animes, with like the zombie one, with the zombie idol one being the exception, because I'm weird. And the other one that I want to watch again, because I like, spooky things or supernatural stuff, is, I think it's, again, I'm hoping I'm saying this right. It's Mayonaka no Occult Koumuin. I want to watch that one too, because again, anything with that, and I'm like, I'm there. I'll give it a 3-episode test, maybe beyond that. Sometimes I do 5, because I feel like, in all fairness, sticking it out for an extra 2 episodes, especially if it's only like a 12-episode anime, which I don't know if these are or not, I haven't looked into that, that you're at least about halfway through the series. So if you're like halfway and you're still like, then yay, then you can jettison it. But those are the animes that I watched for winter, that like just finished, because I'm technically also still watching Fairy Tail. If you like it, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. Get over it. And then the ones I'm gonna watch this spring. So we'll see. I may or may not actually get a chance to travel for the first time internationally this summer, because I've never been able to go before, and it would be like, because there's like a joint effort between several folks who are like, come over here, and then my folks who are like, this is an early, you're getting your MA, your master's degree, this is an early graduation present, it might be your only one. And I'm like, that's fine, that's more than I could ever hope for. And then me putting in my money that I have. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. That would be super cool. So hopefully that works out. I have an appointment to get my passport soon. So I get to go to a post office in Las Vegas and be like, hi guys, I'm here for a passport. Well, passport offices here in Vegas are actually really busy, so no comment about that. But yeah, so this has been my anime entry. I don't do them a super lot, because I feel like I'm not, unless something really like, oh my god, happens, I'm not like super meh about it. Oh wait, no, I forgot. There is 2 other things related to anime, or just like things from Japan in general, that I enjoy, that are important to me. One, which is the most important one for me. I love Saiyuki by Kazuya Minakura. And Minakura-sensei just announced the continuation of the manga Saiyuki Reload Blast, and I am stoked. I am so stoked, because when we got the anime for that, I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be like the last of Saiyuki I'm ever going to see as an overseas fan. Unless, I buy, which I do, I buy the art books even though they're in Japanese, and same with some of the manga volumes, because it's gone out of print here in the United States, and I love Kazuya Minakura's work that much. Same with Wild Adapter. I bought their... That's my text message thing going off. I have a friend on Amtrak right now coming to visit me. That's the train here in the States. Anyway, so Saiyuki is actually going to continue in its manga format, and I think it's still in Zero Sum magazine, which is published by Ichijinsha. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, so they have like Zero Sum and Award magazine. They used to have Rex. I don't know if they still have Rex. But yeah, so Kazuyama Nakura's gonna start drawing Saiyuki again, and I'm like, oh my god. I mean, she has been like illustrating, but not manga panels. I think it's been like over a year, I think, because she's been really, she's had jaw issues. And I think a lot of it's related to that, and it's been really unfortunate. Like, she had to get it operated on and all that. That was a few years ago. So, anywho, never thought I'd get more of that. Super excited. And apparently I'm still being texted by a passenger on a train. I will get to you in a minute. I was like, placed it down here. I'm like, don't hear on the speaker. You heard nothing. The other announcement that's from Japan, that's also technically, I guess because it's also Taiwanese, I think joint production, is Thunderbolt Fantasy is going to have like an extra episode that's going to cover the Bard, and I'm so excited about that too. I hope Crunchyroll actually like picks that up, because I'd love to see that backstory. That would be super cool. So those are the two things I'm excited about that have nothing to do with seasonal anime. Thunderbolt Fantasy, extra episode about the Bard, backstory. I can't pronounce his name for the life of me, so that's why I'm calling him the Bard. He has red hair. And kind of a possessed instrument that turns into a sword. and then Saiyuki Reload Blast finally continuing in its manga form, because Minakura is finally feeling well enough to do so, and I would really rather that she not push herself, because I want her to be okay. I care much more about that. I will always love and enjoy and cherish her characters and each one of her stories, whether they get finished or not. Do I want to see it finished? Holy hell yes, because they finally got to India. Spoiler alert, because I mean that was the inevitable conclusion that would happen, is they'd finally get to India. Those that don't know, Saiyuki is like this really strange version that I love of Journey to the West, okay? And that's all I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, those are all the things that as a fan I'm excited about related to anime, manga, and in a very unique case, a Japanese-Taiwanese co-production puppetry show, glove puppetry, Thunderbolt Fantasy. So until there's anything else to really update about on those fronts, I probably won't. I hope that you found this to be an interesting talk. If you would like, just so you know, this channel is called Eclectic Entries, and that's because it's kind of like me being like, hey, I'm gonna put whatever I want up here. So it is very eclectic. It's varied. There's not necessarily rhyme or reason. So I sometimes do reviews for anime, not reviews, but more like talks like this. Same with I hesitate to call them reviews because there's and I don't feel like that's accurate. And then sometimes I do things for Netflix series. Personally, I like looking at series that are not from the United States, because I find that to be, I mean, like, if I wanted more shows that are from our perspective, I could just turn on the TV, okay? So, like, for instance, I did one about Dark, which was a German one. That was really good. I still have not watched the latest Medici's, but I plan on doing that after my thesis is done. It's not really done, but it'll be done for the semester, and then probably binge watch that because I want to see that real bad. And then it's kind of on Boogiepop status, not until you're done with the semester. And I also sometimes will talk about books. Sometimes I travel. When I travel, I like to post things about that. Sometimes they're just personal life updates. I know that I've had a few of them that have been related to scoliosis or, post-spinal surgery kind of stuff, because I like being open about that, because I don't feel like people should be shamed when they have things like that going on, if they feel comfortable and led talking to people about it. I think that's fine. If they don't, that's totally valid too. And yeah, so as you can see, my channel is very eclectic. It's very, it's whatever I want. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, or sometimes I might have just like random things like, this is my dog. I wanted to take a video of my dog, which I've done at least once. you can hit the subscribe button. I feel like I know I need to make like an intro video so I don't have to say that at the end of a video. I think this is one of my first or second times doing that. Oh yeah, and sometimes I do crafts, like the fairy lantern that I made for Jordan. And sometimes it's just me hanging out with my friends. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed it, like I said. Until next time, take care of yourself. Bye.